How to get out of debt. Healing parables. The baker in debt. In a certain town lived a very carefree and cheerful baker. Money often came to him easily, and he lived a leisurely and carefree life, never worrying about the future. He believed that it was important to enjoy life here and now, and therefore, he didn't want to pay off his numerous loans, create a financial plan to get out of debt, or save money for the future. He didn't want to grow his business or look for a steady job. Someday the man thought, I will make a financial plan to get out of debt and start saving for the future. But for now, I'll buy myself some good food and wine and relax while it's still summer. Work will find me easily, and everything will be simple and fun in my life. Day after day, the man lived carefree, and his debts grew and grew. Summer ended, and in the fall, he found a really good job. He was browsing job listings online and was very impressed by a position as a confectioner at a large bakery. He liked the salary and the responsibilities described in the listing. Although he wasn't a perfect fit, he decided to send his resume anyway. But since the baker was lazy and carefree, he spent 3 weeks working on his resume, meanwhile telling his friends about the great salary awaiting him and how good a specialist he was, and that the company was waiting for him even though he didn't meet their requirements. At the same time, the baker was afraid they might hire someone else. But this didn't affect the speed at which he worked on his resume. Finally, he finished his resume and sent it to the company. He waited for a response, but the company didn't even call him. Then the man realized that he should create his own bakery, as he had experience in his small business. But he did nothing, continuing to spend his time idly, taking out loans and borrowing money from his friends. One day, his friends told him they couldn't lend him any more money, and the baker was left with nothing. Banks wouldn't give him loans, and the expenses on his existing loans kept growing and growing. In the end, the man hit rock bottom. He realized that no one would help him. Not his friends, not the bank. This was financial ruin. Complete minus. He opened the fridge and saw that he had 1 tomato left. He had nothing else to eat. Nevertheless, he was grateful that he at least had the tomato. That he found coffee and sugar in the cupboard. That apples grew on the tree in his garden and he wouldn't starve. The man realized that he was at the bottom and the only way out was to push off from the bottom and work to change his situation for the better. There was no more room for delay. The first thing the man did was recognize his mistakes, his laziness, and his actions that had brought him to financial ruin. He had rested and been idle for too long, and this was the result. The man literally held his head in his hands when he realized how month after month he had wasted his life, running away from problems and accumulating difficulties. He began asking God for forgiveness and prayed for help. During his prayer, the baker realized that he must forgive himself for his mistakes and pull himself out of the financial pit. After all, he had put himself in it in the first place. The baker gathered his courage and forgave himself for everything he had done wrong. He acknowledged his mistakes. He understood that everyone makes mistakes and that some mistakes can be corrected. And the only way from the financial bottom now was up. The baker understood that he had to save himself and climb up. But he could only do this by fully accepting his state of poverty and debt, accepting and forgiving himself for everything. The baker gathered all his courage and accepted himself as he was, and forgave himself. Before accepting himself, the baker remembered his entire life. This is what his past looked like. He worked and studied hard, but for some reason, things always turned out so that he remained poor. Once, tired of the cycle of hard work and poverty, the baker fell ill. He couldn't recover for a long time and, during his illness, resented life a lot. He told himself, "How come? I'm not stupid, I'm hardworking, so why am I so poor?" Finally angry and resentful towards life, the baker began looking for easy ways out. He became lazy, took out loans, borrowed from friends, and lived a carefree life. He saw it as a deserved rest after a hard and meaningless period of his life. But the baker kept going further into debt, forgetting that life requires constant work and movement. That was the baker's past. Now let's return to his thoughts at the bottom of the financial pit. The second thing the baker did was thank God and himself for the little he had. He truly understood that it was very good to have at least some food, a fruit-bearing tree in the garden, and that he still had his mind, abilities and health, which could help him earn money again and get out of financial ruin. The baker was truly grateful to God for the strict lesson he was going through. He understood and promised himself that he would live modestly from then on until he paid off all his debts and stabilized his financial situation. The third thing the baker did was realize that his laziness had caused him to miss great business and personal development opportunities in his field. Life had offered him excellent opportunities to earn money. He was a good baker and could have sold his goods at the market, to bakeries, to cafes, and to stores. Also, when he drank wine in the summer, neighbors and acquaintances approached him, asking him to make special cakes for their parties. But the man didn't want to bother with complex custom orders that required special ingredients for the cakes. So the baker refused all orders and earned nothing, just relaxing and living on credit. Then the baker remembered that a famous local music group could have been his client when one of its members asked him to bake special treats for a private concert. But the man didn't take the order because it was summer and he wanted to drink wine. The baker realized that he could have become the regular supplier of treats for the group's audience since they constantly had concerts. The man felt very sad at these realizations and understood that his talents were in demand. But he did nothing, was lazy, dreamed, and did nothing for a long time. He buried his talents in the ground. But he could have earned well. All this happened when the baker wanted an easy and carefree life, forgetting that life requires constant movement forward. But now he realized everything. The fourth thing the man did was understand that from now on he wouldn't give up or miss his opportunities. He had to speak the truth and act boldly and confidently to solve all his problems. He made a financial plan for repaying his debts to friends and banks. With this plan, he went to his friends and apologized for everything. He asked his friends to buy him some food one last time. And he also asked his friends to buy him some ingredients for cakes. He promised that this would be the last time he asked for their help. The baker told his friends that he wanted to bake simple but tasty cakes and sell them to people at the upcoming Sunday market to earn money. He promised his friends to give them the cakes if the market didn't go well. If the cakes didn't sell, he promised to take on 2 jobs at once and work tirelessly to repay his friends' debts. The baker's friends believed in him and bought him food and ingredients for cakes. So the baker was able to hold on until the weekend in terms of personal nutrition. On Friday and Saturday, he worked from morning till night. And on Sunday, he went to the market, and a small miracle happened. People bought all his cakes. The fact is, the baker was really good at his craft, and his simple cakes were really excellent. The net profit wasn't very large, but it was a victory. The happy baker set aside a small part of the profit for food, as he was used to eating modestly during his time of financial ruin. He divided the bulk of the profit and sent it towards his debts to friends and banks. The baker got a steady job during the week at a bakery. And on weekends, he sold his cakes at the market. So gradually, step by step, eating modestly, working hard, and carefully repaying his debts, the baker became increasingly successful in terms of money and business. The day came when the baker paid off all his debts. And it was a joyous and festive day. Let's rejoice in the baker's success and wish him good luck. The end.